So we have heard item number 35, 24, and 25 were heard concurrently. Now we're moving on to item number 31, and then the flood control district 1 and fire protection district item 2. Those will be heard together, and then we will go to item 32. And then we will go to our regular Wednesday agenda. So we're moving along, we're almost there. Okay, and at this time, let's begin with item number 31, and I'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. So good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. Today's item updates the Board on Economic Conditions and the county finances as of the third quarter of this fiscal year. Today we plan to update you on what we are seeing in the state budget, most recently the May revision, as the county continues to work through to see what the impacts are to our budget. As well, we'll provide an update on economic conditions in the region, the county's third quarter budget performance, and we'll close with a look forward. On Monday, the CAO recommended operational plan was released and is available online for board and public review. We're excited to move next year's budget process forward over the coming month as conversations pass.
This update is especially important for counties since a large portion of our own budget is tied to state funding. The May revision presents a smaller state budget overall and achieves structural balance in each of the next 2 years. A smaller state budget generally translates into reduced state spending, which could mean less funding flowing to counties. Reflecting that reality, the governor is not proposing any major new investments or new ongoing spending commitments this year. Even with a smaller budget, the state's fiscal outlook is improved compared to January. This improvement is driven by higher than expected personal income tax revenues, continued growth in the AI sector, and a more favorable stock market forecast. The governor is emphasizing the need to preserve reserves and at the same time is proposing new revenue strategies, including caps on certain corporate tax credits and expanding the sales tax to include digital software. The governor also highlighted the potential impacts of H.R. 1 on both the state and counties. He estimated that H.R. 1 reduced state revenue by roughly $1.8 billion for Medi-Cal and $290 million for CalFresh, two programs with major county-level implications. Taken together, the May revision outlines a more stable fiscal outlook for the state, but also makes clear that we should prepare for tighter funding conditions going forward. Now I would like to highlight a few key proposals we're tracking closely. First, on H.R. 1 impacts, the May revision includes very limited investments to help counties manage increased eligibility workloads for CalFresh and for Medi-Cal. Specifically, it proposes $262 million in fiscal year 26-27 and $33 million in fiscal year 27-28 for Medi-Cal eligibility work, along with $30 million one-time funds in fiscal year 26-27 for CalFresh eligibility support. No funding was included for indigent care. While these investments are modest, they do reflect an acknowledgement by the governor that counties will face significant workload impacts. On Medi-Cal more broadly, the May revision proposes that adults with unsatisfactory immigration status transition to fee-for-service Medi-Cal beginning January 1st, 2027, and at 4,000 disenrollments in fiscal year 26-27, increasing for a 7th round of the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program. However, this proposal is a 50% reduction from prior rounds, which totaled $1 billion. The proposed 7th round would also come with enhanced accountability requirements, such as requiring jurisdictions to have a current housing element. On Governor's January proposal to eliminate the state share of costs associated with any IHSS hours per case beginning in fiscal year 27-28. This shift would place the full burden of those cost increases on counties. $200 million statewide initially, and rising to more than $800 million by fiscal year 29-30. On Proposition 36, there is no funding in the May revision to address the impacts of higher caseloads. In addition, the May revision proposes prohibiting local governments from collecting impact fees on state-funded affordable housing developments. Finally, the May revision maintains contains the proposal to shift Mobile Crisis Response Teams, or MCRT. First on the left, we see three interest rates that influence everyday life by shaping what people and businesses pay to borrow money. Mortgage rates in green, long-term treasury rates in black, and the Federal Reserve's benchmark rate in orange. Currently, a typical 30-year mortgage rate is a little over 6%, which remains high historically. In an expensive housing market like ours, that adds to the cost of the home, slowing construction, and keeping many families on the sidelines. While the outlook is for stability through 2026, interest rates remain a real pressure point for our economy. However, some benefits for the economy include stronger interest earnings on some of our balances, helping to offset rising costs. The chart on the right shows inflation using the consumer budgets and looking at their discretionary spending. While price trends are stable, more closely with the Fed's goal, we can expect cautious consumer behavior and steady but moderate economic growth. Slide 6, this next slide has another significant area of the economy reflected, which is our housing market. Looking at the chart on the left on this slide shows affordability for a first-time buyer to purchase a home in San Diego. Local affordability is low at about 34% as of early 2026. This is below the levels seen in the 2010s and continues a multi-year decline that only recently began to show some small improvement. Moving to unemployment on the right, San Diego County's unemployment trend remains consistently lower than California's and generally in line with the national rate, showing that our local economy has been more resilient over time. While the state continues to experience higher unemployment, San Diego's rate has stayed steadier, even through periods of wider economic disruption. Overall, this pattern suggests San Diego maintains a stable and competitive workforce supported by a diverse mix of industries and steady employer demand. And moving on to retirement, changes in economic conditions here also have an impact on the investment performance of the retirement fund. On the screen is an updated snapshot of the retirement fund's investment performance as reported by the fund managers, the San Diego County Employees Retirement Association, or SBSERA. This chart reflects market value investment returns since 2015. The SBSERA board assumes a long-term rate of return of 6.5% on the retirement fund earnings. Through March of this year, the fund had earned 6.1%, slightly below the assumed rate, but ahead of where we were at this time last year. And actually today, just a few hours ago, we just received April's numbers, which are now at 12.1% year to date. This highlights the impact for market volatility and reinforces the importance of maintaining a long-term perspective on investment returns of the retirement fund. And now I'll turn to our current year results. Overall, the county's projected results as of third quarter are positive, projecting a year-end balance totaling $86.5 million. This is 0.8% of our total budget. The next two slides walk through these results from two perspectives, just the general fund and all other funds. The slide here shows how the county's funds outside of the general fund are doing in the second half of the fiscal year. These funds cover things like roads, libraries, airports, and special districts. Overall, as highlighted here, we expect other county funds to finish the year with a positive balance of about $61 million combined, which is 2% of their total budget. The chart on the right shows the main contributors to that fund balance, with special revenue funds being the largest. The road funds are the biggest contributors in that area, mainly attributable to project schedule changes and work completed in-house instead of through contractors. Special districts are also showing savings, mainly due to lower than anticipated costs for the sanitation district and the permanent roads divisions. Internal service funds and enterprise funds for airport operations add additional amounts. Capital projects, debt service, and other funds make up the rest. So in short, these funds are stable and continue to perform well. They help keep essential services running, like maintaining roads, supporting libraries, and managing infrastructure while staying within budget. general fund performance through the third quarter. Accounting for expenditure and revenue variances, the projected general fund operating results stand at $25.2 million, which represents 0.3% of the total general fund budget. This narrow margin underscores the importance of continued fiscal discipline moving forward. Looking at the major contributors to fund balance in the chart on the right, general purpose revenue, or GPR, is the largest positive driver, contributing a net of almost $32 million. Overall, quarter 3 reflects a similar GPR outlook compared to quarter 2. The biggest drivers are from sales and use tax, redevelopment, and teeter tax reserve excess revenue streams. The land use and environment group, health and human services, and finance and general government groups are also contributing modest positive variances to the county's mid-year performance. However, public safety continues to exert pressure with a negative impact of more than $19 million, which largely offsets efficiencies elsewhere. PSG's negative projected fund balance is primarily driven by budgetary pressures in the sheriff's office. And for more about that, I'd like to welcome Interim Deputy Chief Financial Officer, Judy.
Thanks, Amy. The Sheriff's Office is projecting an overall negative variance of $20.5 million, which has improved by just under $9 million since our last update for second quarter. This improvement was the result of cost reduction and mitigation strategies implemented by the sheriff, such as halting discretionary office expenses and travel, reducing landline phones, canceling less urgent facilities maintenance projects, and reducing fuel usage for vehicles and aircraft. We continue to see cost pressures in salaries and benefits, which is driven by a growing average daily jail population due to the implementation of Prop 36, as well as for contracted medical services. As shared previously with the board, medical services costs are expected to exceed budget amounts due to offsite hospital cost overruns from the prior and current years. To address these rising costs, the sheriff is continuing the implementation of medical billing and claim services that are needed to realize filing and reimbursements, which is expected to help offset some of the medical cost increases in future years. The department has also brought its vacancy rate down from 11% at the start of the year to 6.3%, and will be adding 23 FTE for Prop 36 in next year's budget. At the same time, approximately $19.2 million of costs, including for multi-year grants in services and supplies, capital assets, and some one-time salaries and benefits, are not expected to occur in the current year and have been re-budgeted in the 26-27 recommended plan. This creates a negative revenue variance, which contributes to the department's overall negative variance. Staff from the Sheriff's Office, PSG Executive Office, and Chief Financial Office will continue to work closely together to monitor the department's budget performance in fiscal year 26-27 and to identify long-term stabilization strategies. Continuing the presentation, we'll now move on to unlocked reserves. Today's item includes the revised recommendation 22 for a $23.2 million use of unlocked reserves, which includes $22.2 million for affordable housing through the Innovative Housing Trust Fund and $1 million supporting the Hunger Relief Board of Feeding America. This was developed based on advice and guidance from the Ad Hoc Subcommittee on Sustainable Fiscal Planning. A total of $95.4 million was available this year based on the updated administrative code. The slide summarizes this activity to date. Last December, this board approved $14.2 million for one-time lump sum payments to employees as provided for in the compensation ordinance. In March, the second quarter action approved an additional $8.8 million for the Teamwater River Valley and $47.4 million for community needs, including housing, support for vulnerable populations, environmental sustainability, and infrastructure. Yesterday, the board approved item 20 using $1.8 million from unlocked reserves for Project Vista, addressing housing needs for transitional age youth exiting foster care. That amount is reflected as the fiscal year 25-26 balance sheet on this slide. Approval of today's item would complete the board's use of unlocked reserves that was available in the current fiscal year. I'll also note that today's agenda includes the related item 32 that asks the board to authorize procurements and grant agreements for $15.4 million in unlocked reserve funds that were previously approved in March. These funds will support programs focused on housing, homelessness prevention, public safety, and security, and services for vulnerable year 2 allows the county to put allocated unlocked reserves funding to work. Looking forward, I want to briefly highlight the financial landscape as we head toward conversations about recalibration of the coming year's budget. We're continuing to see mixed economic signals, and California's budget picture is becoming a bit clearer. We're continuing to parse the details of the state's new budget and impact on the county. While some revenues are growing, the pace has slowed and costs continue to rise. Amidst the uncertainty, our region faces difficult challenges such as homelessness, Tijuana River Valley pollution, safety net support, and more. Our team will not use uncertainty as an excuse for not tackling these tough issues head on. Through today's quarterly adjustments and looking ahead to next year's budget, we aim to provide sensible solutions for the community and our workforce to ensure sustainable long-term success. We know not every challenge can be addressed all at once. Implementing complex changes, including those related to HR women, will require a phased, thoughtful approach as more information becomes available. Finally, we remain committed to advancing equity and addressing disparities while recognizing that this will require us to be more efficient with limited resources. As we close this fiscal year and prepare to meet that moment through the 26-27 budget, the board's priorities and voice of the community will continue to guide where our investments can have increased. As we move towards budget adoption, community participation remains essential. Over the past several weeks, residents have shared their priorities through online tools and at pop-up events across the county. As of yesterday, as of Monday, the recommended budget is now publicly available on the county's website, and online public comment period is officially open. We also have 2 major engagement opportunities coming up next week: a virtual community meeting on May 27th at 5:30 p.m. and an in-person open house on May 28th at 5 p.m. at the County Operations Center. The board's public budget hearing will take place on June 1st, now at 5 p.m., and online public comments will remain open until June 11th at 5 p.m., when the budget hearing is officially concluded. Finally, the board will hold budget deliberations and adoption, now rescheduled to Thursday, June 25th at 9 p.m. We encourage everyone to stay engaged. Please visit the budget website, join an event, or submit a comment. Your input continues to shape how we invest in our communities. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on county finances. Subject to your questions, this concludes the staff presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. If the board is okay with that, I'm gonna go to public comment and then turn back to for deliberation.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Step. We have 20 total requests to speak on items number 31, Flood Control District 1, and Fire Protection Item 2. I've also noted for the record we did receive 24 e-comments on this item. 21 were in favor, 1 was in opposition, and 1 was neutral. For any individuals that requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with the in-person speakers. As you're doing this call, if you can please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You will then have 1 minute to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the audio record, and I will be calling individuals in groups of 3, so please listen for your name. The first 3 individuals are AJ Estrada, Leslie Agra, and Amanda Noel-Detchen. You may come forward in any order.
Hi, my name is Secretary Estrada, AJ Estrada. I'm here to speak in favor of this item and unlocking budget reserves, particularly to support the $22 million in the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. Housing is we are in an affordability crisis measures, everything, including food, water, rates, just the housing most of all. You can't expect San Diego families to thrive if they don't have the ability to ensure they have the stability that the roof over their head provides them. That comes before incomes. It comes before getting to work on time. It comes before going to school and learning. If you don't have that kind of stability, everything else suffers. And we're not doing what we need to do in terms of building that affordable housing. So the Innovative Housing Trust Fund and its ability to close the financing gap for developers that are trying to make sure that housing is available is crucial. It's crucial for the National State Park Apartments. The tower that was built that is going to be built, and nobody is assuming it's crucial for all the developments across the county that have future district, we support this.
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Holdeck, and I'm the Executive Director of RISE, a residential and affordable housing developer focused on preserving naturally occurring affordable housing and light touch infill density for those that are currently experiencing homelessness. I strongly urge the county to fund the Innovative Housing Trust Fund at no less than $22 million. While supportive housing, large-scale developments that cost on average $750,000 per unit and take 5 to 7 years to deliver. One of our current projects, J Street Affordable Housing Project, where every unit serves everyone at 30% AMI, with tenants coming directly from homelessness, including the Lemon Grove and Camp Resolution efforts, are built at $175,000 per unit and take about 24 months total to deliver. That is on par with Detroit Street sleeping cabins. We can get them fully done in 2 years. There's virtually no funding pathway for this kind of work currently, and the Housing Trust Fund allowed us to have it. Thank you.
Calling next two speakers, Chris Gomez and Jermaine Rockportland.
Fiscal discipline. It'd be great if you guys actually have that. So since you can be more efficient with limited resources, I say let's see how much we can cut your budget and see really what you can do with money instead of using it to launder and racketeer, traffic children, you know, all the good things, because you can continue to do that over and over and over again. So I think let's just really like gut it, you know what I mean? Not get into the reserves, but see what you guys can do with a limited amount of resources, because I think that would actually kind of show your inability to really help people. I mean, you sit here and you provide like really great presentations so that people can, you know, think that what you guys are doing is good and benevolent, but if we really saw what you could do with limited resources, I think we really see what you're capable of.
Good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Jermaine Corba. I am a new resident of District 1, and I also work in District 4. I'm here today to advocate for you to support the Innovative Housing Trust Fund, because this is really critical to the lives of the people that I serve, not just immigrants and refugees, but also the folks that are low income, especially people of color. This is really important to me as someone that grew up in District 4. I have watched my community members, my neighbors, who lost their homes due to the floods and are struggling to make ends meet. This is really critical for me. Now, as someone that's looking to be a homeowner in District 1, it's really difficult to have affordable housing in general and to find that. And so I'm hoping that you can continue to support us by voting in favor of this fund. Thank you. Take care.
Good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Chris Gomez. I'm an organizer with the San Diego Imperial Plains Labor Council. We represent over 130 unions and 200,000 working families. As we all know, housing continues to be the main pressure squeezing working families trying to make ends meet all across the county. And we believe that it is incumbent upon local governments to do everything in their power to ease this burden. Expansion of the Innovative Housing Trust Fund is one lever that must be pulled to do just that. The program has already played a key role in expanding access to affordable housing to seniors, veterans, struggling families, your most vulnerable constituents. We see time and time again that housing instability for your residents only leads to greater problems and points of crisis in the county. So every dollar spent to ease that makes a difference, and every opportunity to provide housing is made a priority. So we urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the next three speakers, Mohammed Umar, Michael Brando, and Robert Clement.
Housing crisis and other. Innovative Housing Trust Fund represents a meaningful opportunity to support the production and preservation of affordable housing across the region. The county should continue demonstrating leadership by making bold investment in affordable housing solutions. This funding should be viewed as a foundational investment that can help leverage additional housing opportunities and partnership moving forward. Thank you very much.
where an organized crime syndicate is asking for more money and are going to get it, they're going to get it, but yet they don't deliver the product they say they're going to deliver. It's always about housing, public safety, homelessness, and mental health. I've been coming to these meetings for 5 years, and all of these things have gotten worse. And yet you're turning around saying you want to unlock reserves and get all this money. Where else did we go where we get to see this? Where people promise things over and over again, cyclical, systemic narcissism. They don't deliver, but yet they want to go into asking for more money. How interesting is that? The good news is people are catching on. All of this is going to self-implode. How good can it get?
And then I'll invite the two last speakers in person, Stephen Russell and Delma Navarro.
Good afternoon. I am Bob Kaminsky, the CEO of Feeding San Diego. Rising costs have pushed working families to the breaking point. For example, last week at our Dewey Elementary School pantry, a mother of 3 told one of my staff members, "This food box means my kids need to eat dinner tonight." In less than 2 weeks, new SNAP cuts will force even more San Diego families into this seemingly impossible reality. Your emergency funding approval would do more than feed hungry families. These dollars would allow us to build infrastructure needed to expand capacity, increase cold storage to bring in more fresh produce, refrigerated food rescue containers to expand the reach of our partner food rescue into the rural communities. This is a strategic investment in hunger relief infrastructure, not just a one-time response. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. My name is Stephen Russell. I'm the President and CEO of the San Diego Housing Federation and a founding member of the Basic Needs Coalition. We're here to support item 31, recommendation 22 about the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. This is a strong public investment. Since its inception, $112 million put into that fund has generated $1.6 billion in other total investment. Each public dollar in the trust fund is multiplied many times over and supports affordable housing across 22 communities. It helps move projects into construction. This is a proven high-impact housing solution, and it addresses one of the region's most urgent needs. Our families need housing. This money is seed money that can make lots of housing happen. And it's already working. We know that this works, so you're funding something that is quite functional. So we encourage approval of the $22 million investment. This is a one-time investment with long-term benefits. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Edna Navarro, and I'm a researcher and policy advocate with the Center on Policy Initiatives. I'm here in support of funding the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. In less than a decade, it has paved the way for over 30,000 housing units and has invested in incredible programs housing solutions that invest in our communities while prioritizing serving individuals with the highest need. To truly commit to the health and safety of people across the county, we also asked for the $2 million allocated to increase the share invested to the Innovative Housing Trust Fund, prioritizing people's well-being and not decriminalization and incarceration. We urge the board's support for this life-saving program and their commitment to community safety through housing. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and hear a recording that will state you can your comments, and we will go ahead and begin with our first caller. Our first caller is Paul. You're connected, Paul, but you may be muted on your end. Okay, we'll try to come back to you, Paul.
Good afternoon, John Brady here, Executive Director of Lived Experience Advisors, calling to support the Innovative Housing Trust Fund investment. Clearly, we can build housing for much lower costs when we walk away from the expensive financing systems that are in place through tax credits. I also want to make people aware, since during the presentation, that 93,000 San Diegans will be affected by the food stamp work requirement. It is estimated, according to Times San Diego, that 13,000 people, as many as 13,000, could lose their food stamp and benefits. This will be many of our homeless individuals that do not have a place to be. This is a crisis that is pending and is not being discussed, and I'm certain that many of our homeless neighbors are unaware of this impending threat to their survivability. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Paul Bowles, I hope you can hear me now. Hello? Governors, we're reducing the housing budget by half. You may have to follow our recommendation to build 3D printed shipping crate or adobe homes, which are cheaper, nor not to leave us with an oversupply of expensive empty houses when the housing crisis ends. County budget seems to be based on estimates. Which one should we believe? Looking over the recommendations too looks good. Helps the DA's input, tech modernization, helps weed out prosecutions for non-crimes or for resisting excessive force or for things like free speech. 5, we need our costs and grant programs are. 22, using unlocked reserves is being done regularly.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Fuller here. Okay, so here we go. More government dependency. And yeah, that's exactly what the government wants. The people dependent entirely on them. They want people dependent on the systems, dependent on resources, dependent on permission to survive. They want control over the resources, food, money, housing, control over every aspect of our lives. Not so people can thrive, but so people can remain in constant state of struggle. I just don't know how people don't get it at this point, but that is hard. That most people no longer remember their own strength, power, creativity, and ability to build strong communities without government at the center of everything. I don't know what it's going to take for the people to get this. For government to live like this, begging, fighting, and barely surviving while working endlessly just to keep up. Nearly everything we do today.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Hey, there's just 4 votes are needed. Now's the opportunity for the so-called Republicans to really make a stand against one Queen Tara's reign of terrorist dictatorship by voting no to whatever she wants. Well, let's bet that'll never happen. No, this is when all the city of San Diego paid agitators like Pam, our Steve guy, come with their hands out for our tax dollars. Kickback example. The $22 million Innovative Housing Trust Fund paid for by public county residents, but going to private union wealth via the National City Apartment slums. That fund corrupt cretins like Manuel Flomagire, Matthew Gonzalez, and Todd Gorey, who are nothing but building the Secretary's Council minions and money-following fraudsters. Why would the treasurer tax collector be decommissioning a data center? Is that to hide the records on how enforcement will minions to finally pay their years overdue property tax bills? That's okay, I've got it screen cash. The $2.5 million on the temporary pipe for Saturn Boulevard is going to be yet another Maryland sewage expansion coming soon. And this $9.1 billion overinflated budget proves that you're going to be bankrupt by the end of this year. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Our next caller.
Commissioners, this is Guadalupe Rojas with Mid-City Can in District 4. I'm speaking in support of unlocking the proposed $22 million investment in the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. As we know, the county continues to face an affordable housing crisis. According to a recent report released by the San Diego Housing Federation, about 129,829 low-income renter households in the county do not have access to an affordable home, and about 79% of low-income households in the county pay more than half their income in rent. And no, people are not choosing to be poor; they're simply competing with investors and really high prices. That is why we believe that long-term investments are needed, especially now that the state and federal funding for housing production and preservation in the county has decreased. And this fund could support the production and preservation of affordable housing in the region. Stable housing is the foundation of secure and healthy lives, and it also helps residents secure and maintain steady employment. That is why we ask that we consider unlocking these funds. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Vice Chair Montgomery Scott, not seeing any callers in the following queue. That concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you so much for the presentation. I think it's today's third quarter operational plan status report presents a stable overall financial picture and a set of budget adjustments that address operational, public safety, infrastructure, and community needs across the county. Do want to call out the $22 million investment in the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. We've heard from community members, but we also know every day as a reality of living in San Diego, that we certainly need the expansion of this trust fund to go towards building affordable housing units, and also the additional allotment to Feeding San Diego. The times that we're in right now certainly will allow our community members to have some relief there, so we appreciate Feeding San Diego being such a good partner. These investments are both timely and high impact, particularly for vulnerable residents. Additionally, we want to call out some of the other adjustments around public safety. Continued support is important to ensure the long-term success of our emergency responses. And also, though, with regards to Prop 36 implementation, I do think that we should continue to monitor these areas closely, including rising costs of the public safety group, much of it tied to Prop 36 implementation, as well as ongoing revenue shortfalls. So as we prepare for the next budget cycle, it will be important to address these structural pressures while preserving flexibility for emerging needs. Thank you, and I do want to move back up. And I will turn to Supervisor Dustin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the support here in the presentation. I'm also very supportive of both Feeding San Diego and our food bank. These organizations serve a direct need and do a great job for our region. Unfortunately, however, I am concerned about the ongoing needs that we are meeting and using one-time dollars. So this, we give this money out this time. Next year, may have the same problem, hopefully a little bit less, but these are one-time dollars. So I think if there's really truly a need, we should prioritize and address hunger. And we should be including that as a priority in our now $9 billion annual budget, rather than the one-time emergency reserves. So this is for food. It is for the food, Feeding San Diego. So I'm going to be supportive, but it's unsustainable. I do want to highlight and support the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. This is, which is crucial. These are one-time dollars, and I think if we're going to be spending reserves, it should be on one-time dollars going to projects and things like that, not programs, ongoing programs. But the Housing Trust Fund, so we can build more housing. So I'm going to be supportive of the item, but I'm just cautious about using one-time dollars on long-term programs. Thank you.
Chairperson Geary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to thank staff for their hard work. Your efforts have helped keep the county services running while managing taxpayer dollars responsibly. So thank you for all your strong work. And also to all the speakers that came out and shared their perspectives, and the folks that have engaged already in this process and that will be participating in the forthcoming budget community meetings. I also briefly just want to address some comments I've heard that this board majority is somehow I want to say that that is simply not true. The facts have been very clear. The county is projected to end the year with more than $86 million in positive fund balance, and the general fund is also positive. I don't see that as a deficit, it's a surplus. The best way to think about it is like having a family budget. If a family pays all its bills and still has money left in savings and decides to fix the roof or invest in their children's future, that is not financial mismanagement. That is living within your means while making smart investments. That is exactly what we're doing here as a county. We're staying financially responsible while investing more money in housing, affordability, and the needs of the communities we were elected to serve. One of the biggest challenges facing families across our region right now is housing affordability. Families are struggling to keep a roof over their heads. Seniors are being priced out. Working people are feeling the pressure every single day. That is why investing in the Innovative Housing Trust Fund is so important. Supporting the Innovative Housing Trust Fund is something I highlighted during my swearing-in ceremony. Just a few short months later, we are already doing $2 million in additional investment to help build and preserve affordable housing across San Diego County. To date, the Innovative Housing Trust Fund has already helped support more than 95 housing units throughout our region. Today's investment will help accelerate more affordable housing in our communities and help more families find safe, stable places to live. This is exactly what our communities elected us to do, to be financially responsible while still investing in solutions to help working families. I did work hard, my team worked hard to secure this investment because I believe our families deserve action on housing affordability, and I respectfully ask my colleagues to support that. Thank you.
I just need a, first of all, thank you for your leadership. I need a second.
Oh, I'll second. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other discussion, comments, questions? Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote.
We do roll call vote again. Supervisor Anderson. Aye. Supervisor Desmond.
Yes.
Chairperson Aguirre.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will now move to discussion item number 32. This was to authorize action necessary to implement prior board direction of unlocking reserves, award of community grants and contracts, including authorization of 887 competitive contract with City Community Development Corporation. So at this time, we'll go ahead and turn it over to comments.
Favor and one was in opposition, and for any individuals that request to speak on this item by phone, please dial the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. Again, we'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, you can please come forward and hit on the arrows. It until it is your turn to speak. You'll then have 1 minute to address the board. Please begin by taking your name to the audio record and get off the line. Individuals in groups of 3, so please listen for your name. I'd like to invite Helga. It's Noah Kabashima and Oliver Twist.
Hi, good afternoon. Student welcome from Climate Action Campaign. Firstly, our hearts are with our Muslim friends, partners, loved ones, and neighbors, and we'll continue to stand together in San Diego. Today, we're here to share our immense support for the budget allocation for the Global Village. This project is a visionary development of deeply affordable homes and community spaces that will be integrated with the Future Choice Triangle Park and transit infrastructure. This project embodies the meaningful climate action we need, setting a standard for what's possible when implementation is enriched by creative, community-driven solutions. It will support community resilience during times of crisis, serving as a pre-identified trusted regional hub during emergencies.
This is an essential opportunity to invest in what will be a regional asset for generations of neighbors and families, creating economic opportunity and improving quality of life. We urge you to fund the Global Village project. Thank you.
Good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Nao Kawashima. I'm here today on behalf of the Karen Organization of San Diego and in the community we serve. We serve refugees and immigrants from Burma, and they live in all San Diego County districts. And then I am a resident of District 2. I'm here to support the budget allocation for the Global Village. Global Village will include over 144 large and deeply affordable homes, and this is more than a housing project. 50,000 square feet of civic and cultural space, global marketplace, where small businesses from all over the county can gather for new and sustainable economic opportunities, and then a community plaza that will serve as a regional asset supporting community resilience during the times of natural disasters, public health emergencies, and the crisis like now when our community is terrified and grieving. San Diego needs Global Village where youth, adults, and seniors or different backgrounds can find true belonging. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Oliver Twist, aka Mary Davis, in opposition to this item, or at least for serious consideration about it. First, we don't have an ongoing problem about digging into reserves. I'm asking you to start keeping a reserves dashboard updated in weekly time, just like the Strategic Oil Reserve has a weekly update. I want to see where the reserve money is going and what it's being used for, and more importantly, I want to see outcomes, not optics. Right now, we do a lot of feel-good things, but we're not seeing results, and I want that to change. Second of all, I would need financials for this organization. I could not find it. I had to go to ProPublica or the state CDC. They have their Business Improvement District financials, which you really have to dig for. So please be transparent that those sole source contracts are a big no. We ran into that with harm reduction, and you can see where that led. So start bidding, start being transparent, and watch your reserves. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will call the next three speakers for allegedly Audra, Alondra Alvarez, and Jermaine Garcola.
Senator Deloma in San Diego, I am wondering if this $1.5 million that's going to be going to a DV shelter to help with human trafficking, sexual assault, and people fleeing or escaping within San Diego, if that will include the people who have been sexually abused and physically and mentally abused in your county facilities for children, like the one that you guys gave an award to yesterday, Casa de Amparo. We also have Casa San Diego, the Belinsky Center, San Pasqual, which we were just talking about, Turning Winds, San Diego Center for Children, and the Bridge Group Home. I'm sure there's more that haven't come out yet, but they will. And so I'm wondering if those people from those programs or places are going to be welcome into those shelters, because they should be fleeing. It's very sad to see that we continue to put money into child abuse centers. Good job, you guys.
My name is Alondra Alvarez, and I'm a resident of District 5. I speak on behalf of Universidad Popular, a grassroots community organization committed to promoting health and civic participation as well as education. I'm here to speak in favor of the budget allocation for the Global Village. The Global Village is more than a housing project. The Global Village is a long-term investment that creates generational economic opportunity. As someone who works directly with immigrant families across San Diego County, trusted regional hubs like these are proven to provide culturally appropriate disaster alerts, navigation, and family support. The beauty and diversity of San Diego is built on the back of migrant labor, and we have a responsibility to invest in our immigrant communities. Supervisors, we urge you to support this board letter. Our region's resilience and thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jermaine Roque-Corba. I spoke earlier as a resident of District 1 and as someone that works in District 4. To get the record straight, I want to set the record straight. Islamophobia is one of the main reasons why things like the mass shootings happened on Friday, but today I'm actually here to speak on the Global Village. The Global Village itself is something I would like for you to vote in favor of, as the Global Village is a regional asset that San Diego has the opportunity to show how communities nationwide can support the development of welcoming infrastructure necessary to ensure the promise of America of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The Global Village itself houses over 144 large, deeply affordable homes, a global marketplace that celebrates multicultural entrepreneurial spirit, and a community plaza designated to serve as a trusted regional hub for emergencies that provide culturally and linguistically appropriate alerts, navigation, and family support that every single person deserves. It also integrates a future of green space. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the next three speakers, Michael Brando, Mary Sariano, and Max Isbowski.
Michael, as Jim Desmond said on 31, not sustainable, that applies to this too. I want to echo Mary Davis's comments about having a display that shows what the reserves look like and how it's being calculated and where the money is going. Because again, this is like 31 where you want to get into more money, but we don't see the results. Paloma Gary said that, well, we managed the budget. Well, you just look at the numbers. Well, there's something that can't be counted. I'm not talking about the numbers, I'm talking about the results of the actions here at this board. When we look around the county and see the amount of suffering that's going on, it's unspeakable. And to come here and hear the virtue signaling, that's unspeakable. But I'm going to go back to my positive note. How good can it get?
Mary or Max? I see Mary or Max. We'll go to the next three speakers. We get Salio Usman, and then Mohammed Kumar, and then Delma Navarro.
Hi, good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Salih Osman. I'm resident of District 1. Affordable homes, 50,000 square feet of civic and cultural space, a community plaza that will serve as a vehicle park and a transit infrastructure. This is more than a housing project. It is a long-term investment in resilience, strengthening belonging to the creating economic opportunity in historically understanding communities. Thank you very much.
Mary Soriano, resident of La Jolla Town Council. First, what is the reserve's fully funded acceptable percentage? Coastal communities and visitors are in support for no sewage water in IB. $8 million and approximately $80 million from the half-cent sales tax increase solve the rebuilding of Mexico's sewage plant. That's approximately a total of $90 million out of taxpayers' pocket and San Diego's infrastructure.
Good afternoon. My name is Mohammed Kumar, and I'm a resident of District 4, and I'm here to speak in favor of the Bible education for the Global Village located in 2.2 acres along the Charles Street corridor. The Global Village will include over 124 large and deeply affordable homes, 50,000 square feet of civic and cultural space at Community Plaza that will serve as a regional asset supporting community resilience during times of crisis, all integrated with the future Charles Triangle Park and transit infrastructure. This is more than a housing project. It is a long-term investment in resilience, strengthening belonging, and creating economic opportunity in historically undeserved communities. San Diego is a border region prone to fires, floods, and public health emergencies. When a disaster strikes, families with the limited means for emergency are the hardest to reach and most at risk. The Global Village is designed to serve as a pre-identified, trusted regional hub during emergencies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon again. My name is Dana Navarro, and I'm a researcher and policy advocate with the Center for Policy Initiatives. I'm here to urge the board to fund the critical services listed in the board letter. USD Tenants Legal Services and CANA are two entities that will provide relief to communities that have been historically disenfranchised and are increasingly hit by unjust policies and violence. Tenant Legal Services programs help prevent homelessness and allow clients to remain in their homes. USD will be able to provide these necessary services to individuals that otherwise wouldn't have access to representation. At the same time, CANA is working towards building a well-rounded infrastructure that will provide not only aid, but personal autonomy, opportunities for economic development, housing, and a place of belonging for members of our communities. Those types of services and community developments are important investments in the well-being and safety of our residents. Supervisors, we urge you to support this board letter. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next three speakers, Leila Guam and Ramho Abdi and Rama Sali.
Good afternoon. My name is Rahma Abdi. I'm the Director of Organizing and Campaign with PANA, the Partnership for Advancement of the Americans. And I'm also a proud resident of District 4. I'm here to speak in favor of the budget allocation for the Global Village. I know what it feels like to run from a danger, to come to a new country, not speaking the language, and praying your family are safe. But during the flood in 2024, many of our people in our community was scared all over again. Family did not understand what happened, where to go. Parents were scared. The children was trying to protect their children, and we felt invisible during that emergency time. That's why Global Village is very important. Global Village will create a safe place for refugee and immigrant families, a 50,000 square feet community space with affordable housing, support services, and cultural space, trust resource families, family like mine. Right now, our immigrant and refugee families have nowhere to go during emergencies. The place that understands our language, our culture, or our struggle. The Global Village will create that. We support Global Village because our family deserves safety, dignity, affordable housing, and a place where we call belonging. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Honorable Chair and the County Board. At a time when our community is reeling from hatred, it is a question of faith and trust in our elected leaders and who they stand for. Too often, politicians in our communities guise their bias through fiscal language. We hope to see better. This is not about who or what deserves to be funded. As you've heard earlier today, we have an 80 million plus surplus, county surplus. A surplus means we paid our bills, we had more than enough, and we're building, our muscle to do even better. Unlocking these reserves is allowing the counties to spend one-time expenditures that prioritize regional emergency infrastructure. Despite the heroic efforts of our emergency personnel in protecting residents, as we saw in wildfires in recent years, and in your turn, Supervisor Anderson, there are often individuals and families in East County that do not get the information they need.
Thank you. I didn't want to interrupt your comments, but can you please state your name for the record?
Ramos, I think Executive Director.
Thank you. Then final call for Layla and,
Layla's not speaking.
thank you,
Yes.
and Max. Not saying Max, okay. So we will now hear from those that request to speak by phone. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. Go to your recording, and I'll tell you to begin your comments, and we will go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Although the board order says unlocked reserves are designed to function as a strategic one-time fiscal tool. Using the unlocked or the current way to avoid thinking a problem through completely and finding a viable permanent solution. There needs to be guarantee that we have enough funds in the reserves to maintain full emergency service. A better alternative would be to reassign funds from accounts which might be needed for public safety, is to reassign amounts from multiple sources. So the Sheriff's Office seems to have had no problem with in item 4 on August 26th. They just used 3 pots of money instead of 1. We need fire services in the stage of use unstoppable fires.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Excuse me, I'm swelling here. Y'all should listen to Paul, honestly. It's just, and a lot of the speakers who have suggested so many great things. But I just want to reiterate to the people begging and just remember, you know, there's been cases, gosh, GoFundMe stories of people becoming multimillionaires overnight and no need in any way. It is up to the people. I'm going to keep calling in to remind you all it's up to us. We don't need them. They continue to just want you to come and beg. It's a sick game. It's sick and twisted. It's gross. Wake up. Think outside the box. You're not red or blue. You're a human and they're just trying to control you. That's it. I'm done. So gross. So sick.
My name is Ibrahim Nuhu. I'm the resident of the county and owner of a small business, Ashia Water. I'm in support of Global Village. It's an opportunity that is for our kids, new arrivals, and everybody. They will have an opportunity, you know, from the retail spaces, a job opportunity. It creates a bonding, it creates a need for everybody to communicate, share information, and have a valuable lesson through economic development, through experiences, and cultural hub. This opportunity is possible if we support in support of the Global Village initiative right now. So I want you, if you can, please support our cause. Thank you so much. And this is Ibrahim, President of this county, in support of the Global Village.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Village, when you can't even secure drug addicts and pothole-free streets. Over $15 million for City Heights CDC and their anti-car agenda, the LGBT Center and their anti-child political agenda, UCSC and their secret Epstein research, the Urban League and their pushing of the clock shot with photos of Nathan and Lorena still on their website, Hannah with their illegals and their attempt to segregate the county into unrecognizable districts, UPAC and their self-sending CISA, the Senegal food bank scam, and the first city of San Diego and their complete mismanagement can be propped up on the backs of backcountry residents who can't even get fire response. On budgeting, not only never had a family budget, hence your own family's bankruptcy and your credit card and property tax debt. Morally bankrupt too. Stuff.
My name is Rachel
Daniela Castro. I'm a homeowner, business owner, and employee in District 4. I've family and friends across the county, many of whom have submitted public comment on this item online and here today about their experiences with floods, fires, and other disasters. I want everyone to have the same village infrastructure, access to home and community that I am so blessed to have. The Global Village is designed to be a trusted regional hub that provides culturally and linguistically appropriate emergency support to families that are hardest to reach when crisis strikes. I'm here to speak in favor of the budget allocation for the Global Village. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Serena Pugh, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm speaking in support of this item on behalf of the San Diego LGBT Community Center. This item ensures that the county reinvests in programs with a proven track record of success and effectiveness, like the Center's Adult Housing Program. These services provided by these programs are preventative and cost-effective, helping numerous county residents, regardless of their identity or status, remain in their permanent and stable housing. The center looks forward to negotiating this contract to ensure the most fiscally responsible allocation of the county's dollars. I am also speaking in support of this item to request that the county invest in Hannah's Global Village, a housing project that will be a long-term investment in strengthening resilience, belonging, and creating economic opportunity in historically underserved communities. This community plaza will also serve as a regional asset supporting community resilience during times of crisis and will be integrated with the Future Choice Triangle Park and transit infrastructure. We're grateful to the county for proposing these investments in our underserved communities and respect.
Excuse me, good afternoon, Board. Dollars that we're taking from the reserves comes under the guidance of the ad hoc subcommittee on sustainable fiscal planning. And I'd sure like to know a whole lot more about the ad hoc subcommittee of sustainable fiscal planning. We don't seem to have a process for understanding how the decision making from this ad hoc subcommittee happened, because we have no access to it. We need to know when this much money is being spent, how the decisions came into play. Also, I'm curious about sole source for one of the proposals. My personal experience in Washington County and sole source contracts is pretty negative, and I really think we need a...
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hi, my name is Patricia Serrano, and I'm a district homeowner and resident of District 5. And I will ask you to support the budget allocation for the Global Village. This is a long-term investment in our community. More than ever, we need the county invest in our immigrant and refugee communities that are currently under attack and facing growing challenges. The Global Village will create economic opportunities for underserved communities and provide 144 affordable homes for families in need. This project is not only investment in housing, but also in stability, dignity, and the future of the agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to our next caller.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucky Eden. I'm the youth organizer with PANA and a resident of District 4. I'm here to speak on favor of the budget allocation for the Global Village. The Global Village is just not a housing project, it's a long-term investment in community stability, belonging, and economic opportunity. This place will create a space where people will not just live, but thrive and connect and feel needed. From 144 affordable houses to job opportunities for small business to have small businesses, community-run businesses. San Diego is a region impacted by fire, floods, and public health emergencies. During this time, Global Village is going to be a designated pre-identified hub where people can get emergency alerts in languages, support, navigation, and family resources deeply. We already have a mini Global Village right now. We have our event center where people are gathering for funerals and grieving spaces, fundraising for families in crisis, celebrating graduations and weddings. This space has naturally become a trusted place for people. The Global Village is more than building, but it's a building.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Supervisors, my name is Marianne Osman. As a San Diego native from District 1 and 4 and a daughter of refugees, I'm calling in to speak in support of the budget allocation for the Global Village. What we're talking about here is a transformative project. When disaster strikes, communities that have limitations when it comes to English proficiency, are residing in unincorporated areas, or often have limited infrastructure to be able to be met where they're at. They do not have opportunities to be using the resources in the way that they need it. Investments in infrastructure like the Global Village is critical. I know this firsthand as a family that has been in Southeast San Diego for more than 20 years. My family saw firsthand during the 2020 flood how living on the second floor, one street above the channel, was what kept us safe from losing everything. Funding this hub is a critical investment in families like mine. Our region's resilience depends on it, and supervisors, I would urge you to support this board letter and support our Global Village. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to our next speaker.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. This is Dr. Ryan Tan, and I live in District 4. I'm also speaking as the Advocacy Manager at Mejil, the Art Community Center of San Diego, located in District 2. I'm urging you to vote yes on item number 32, especially to fund the Global Village. So you all know that PANA anchors and leads the Global Village project, but I want to be clear that this project represents the collective work of many organizations and communities across San Diego County. So us at Mejil, we serve about 725 different households, with the vast majority located in District 2, and we're part of the advisory board for the Global Village. So we've been participating in shared decision-making for this space, which represents the regional investment, as other folks have stated, specifically in housing stability, public health, and community resilience. We can't emphasize enough the importance of having community-owned and community-led spaces like the Global Village, especially following the horrific attack that happened on Monday. It's even more pressing than ever to have spaces where our communities feel safe and supported and seen. And as others have already turned up to say, folks are already coming to this space and using it as a reliable, trusted hub. The site is
Thank you. Your time is up. And Vice Chairman, when we step back, concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And thank you to the public for coming out and speaking on this item. It is, I think we have spoken about it previously because we are authorizing certain actions that were already attached to the previous board approval. So with that, I will go ahead and move the item, and then I will go over to Supervisor Anderson.
Madam Chair, I'd be happy to vote for this, but I'd like you to bifurcate the $5 million for PANA. This is a single source contract. I don't have enough details on it that I feel comfortable voting for it. And I don't understand why we're not giving this money to the housing trust, where we know that they bid it out and that we get the best possible value on housing. So I'm just asking that we bifurcate vote and allow me to vote for it without supporting this particular item.
Okay, let me go over to Supervisor Destin while I do that.
Well, I have some of the same concerns. The board letter is asking us to approve cash handouts that were decided by an ad hoc financial subcommittee. These are one-time dollars being spent largely for ongoing programs, and it's putting the county budget and likely the budgets of these organizations out of balance. The organization and the programs themselves, they seem worthy, but the process is going to spend where the city of San Diego now finds itself. We're waiving competitive procurement. We're giving out tax dollars to specific groups with no application or no competitive process. We're using unlocked reserves for ongoing programs, which is unsustainable. And I said that on the last item, but we had a lot more on this item. If these programs are priorities, we should put it in the budget, not handing out these one-time dollars. You know, I would vote in favor of money going to the San Diego Food Bank, but I disagree with the overall process of the board letter. I don't think we should just be handing money out without proper vetting and competitive procurements and things that are not one-time dollars like the housing fund and things like that. So I'm going to be a no on the item. Thank you.
Okay, back to Supervisor Desmond, sorry, Supervisor Anderson, for purposes of consistency, there are, obviously, Supervisor Desmond's comments, there are some things that he would like to support in here. I don't want to get in a situation where we're bifurcating a bunch of things. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this motion as is, just for purposes of trying to get through the day and not want to bifurcate a lot of items.
And I'll second.
Okay. So, is there any other discussion?
Just have a couple comments.
Yes.
I just want to thank all the speakers that came out. Obviously, we can't do this work alone, so I want to thank Fanon and all the supporters of the Global Village. I think that by partnering with organizations that already have community trust, we can reach residents faster, deliver more responsive services, and track clear results, including households that are stabilized, residents served, survivors protected, food distributed, and how quickly support reaches those in need. Very supportive of the $600,000 investment in the University of San Diego that will help amplify the work, expanding access to tenant legal services for residents with complex immigration and documentation challenges. I want to give a quick but very profoundly grateful shout out to Mayor Allison Snow, who serves as Mayor of Loma Grove and Professor at the University of San Diego, for her commitment to standing up for vulnerable and undocumented residents who face major barriers to legal support and stability, including residents from Vero Beach, which is the United States. When resources are limited, our choices should be clear: protect people, prevent harm, and strengthen the community. And with that, we supported the item, and I just want to take this opportunity to share my deepest condolences with members. I know Fanon, the Fanon community, and the community of the Islamic Center for the tragedy that happened.
Thank you so much, and I do believe that this item strengthens the county's ability to respond to community needs during time of uncertainty. When the board approved the use of unlocked reserves, it intended these funds to help the county remain steady and proactive when outside conditions put pressure on essential services. Today's action fulfills that purpose by directing resources into programs that make communities more stable, more supportive, and more resilient by funding eviction prevention services, legal assistance for tenants, LGBTQ plus housing support, and flexible financial aid. We are helping people stay in their homes and avoid the cascading harm that comes with housing instability that then still falls back on our budget. These problems don't just respond to emergencies, they strengthen, or programs don't just respond to emergencies, they strengthen long-term stability for families who often don't have anywhere else to turn. The contracts and grants within the San Diego LGBT Community Center, City Heights, Community Development Corporation, Urban League, USD, and PAMA reflect a commitment to meet people where they are and delivering services tailored to those circumstances. The support provided to San Diego Food Bank expands access to nutritious food across the region, including rural communities and neighborhoods without nearby grocery options. The continuation of the Casa Mariposa shelter ensures that survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, and sexual assault have a place to go where they can find safety, dignity, and care. And UPAC's community violence intervention work helps residents heal and stabilize after trauma, offering culturally competent support in communities that have often gone without it. And I would just say UPAC, for example, this is bridge funding as they build infrastructure within their organization to be able to build Medi-Cal. So this is the type of funding that's what makes it one-time funding. Together, these investments help communities weather uncertainty and maintain access to the local services they rely on, even when external policy or financial pressures create instability. And I just want to say also to community members who still came out today, thank you for working through your pain to be here today to express and give us the vision of the Global Village, which is not just housing, but it will be built for community safety, dignity, and so as the theme throughout the reasons behind awarding this money in this way, community safety, which I feel like should be just a part of public safety as we talk about it, a part of the public safety ecosystem. So with that, if there's, I'm sorry, Supervisor Anderson.
I want to be respectful of your authority, and I'm not going to challenge it, but it's important for people to understand I support everything in here except for the one item, and that's because we have no history. We don't, never been presented. I have no idea what they're doing, and we're talking about up to $20 million. And I think about the housing trust. I'm not going to go through it again, but I was willing to vote for the rest of this if bifurcated, but I can't spend $20 million on something I have no idea how it got before us. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. For clarification, we were authorizing today $5 million.
But we can go up to 20 million.
It can't without a vote from the board. But I understand. I just don't want to take a bunch of different votes. That's the only reason why. But if there's no desire from Supervisor Desmond to bifurcate anything else.
Well, I have to vote for the food bank.
See, that's what I'm saying. So let's just do the motion on the floor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But,
just because
you're talking about just 3 votes. One for the food bank, one for Hannah, and one for everything else.
let's go with the motion on the floor. We still have
Yeah, but that's 3 votes. It's not a whole slew. Just for the record. Thank you.
We'll have the roll call. Vice Chair Supervisor Anderson, Supervisor Desmond voting no. All the supervisors being present voting aye.
So, Mr. Co-Chair, to read we'll go ahead on within the board's jurisdiction, but not on item on the agenda. The only action that the board may take is a referral to the CAO. Under the board's rules, speakers can only speak once meeting. Under the board's rules, speakers can only speak once per meeting for non-agenda public communication, either at today's general legislative session or today's legislative session, but not both sessions. Speakers may select which session to address the board at their own convenience. To better facilitate the meeting, for non-agenda public entities selected, be heard at the close of today's session. The board rules in order to ensure time agenda, we're past that. Speakers, individuals will have 1 minute to share their opinion as the chair. A reminder that according to Rule 4A, members of the public that are non-English speaking in need of communication assistance will get twice the allotted time for their comments. And a final reminder, according to the board's rules and procedures, audience members shall not whistle, clap, stomp, beat, or do anything that disrupts the proceedings. If you do, you'll be given 1 more, and after that, we'll be doing Brian, call this.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We have 23 total requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 6 individuals in person, 17 requesting to speak by phone. For those that are requested to speak by phone, please stop to the conference line now that these instructions are provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with in-person speakers, and as noted, we will randomly select the first 5 speakers for today's session. As your name is called, if you please come forward and stand on the arrows and tell us your turn to speak at the podium. You'll then have 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 individuals, Michael Brando, Dorothea Flanagan, and Doyle Morrison.
Good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Doyle Morrison. I believe in honesty, integrity, respect, and implementing these values even when I think no one is watching. I believe the orchestrated division we see in our national politics is unhealthy for our nation. The state of California is not too far behind. Our county must do better. I believe an elected politician should work to improve the lives of all constituents even if they did vote for them. After all, you are elected by the people to do work of the people. In my years as a voter, my candidates have been elected and not. I have been pleased by their work and not. I don't have to agree with every decision they make, but the overall theme has to be for the betterment of the people. When I'm in line with the majority, it feels good. But if it's at the expense of the minority, it turns dirty. When I'm in line with the minority, it feels hopeless. Unless an outstretched hand from across the aisle is willing to work to make positive change for all. Your votes, your actions, your conduct is under constant surveillance. We the people will correct democracy when needed.
Michael, I want to talk about a behavioral health issue. At the April 21st meeting, there was a speaker here, Mark Dorian, and he usually comes up here with a lot of displays, and he was deemed to be off topic. He was not. He was drawing a nexus to a point that was being made. And what's her name? Hi there, Tara Lawson-Remer interrupted him. But this is not the point I want to make. What happened was after that, Dave Laxstein from SEIU came to the podium and he yelled out and verbally attacked Mark and called him a fucking asshole. Now, I had my private camera zoomed in on Tara and she didn't give a warning. She didn't give a warning at all. She let this stand. And I don't know a lot of other examples of inequality and people not being held accountable. Jim, I want to bring this book up to you. I know you probably don't have time to read, but I know you've rolled your eyes a lot and kind of laughed at people that talk about the spraying in the skies and geoengineering. This is a great book, and it's packed with footnotes. It's called The Geoengineered Transhuman. Dahlia, all of you would benefit from this. There's a great Audible version. They invested some money in having a professional narrator read it. The hard copy of the book is great because it has so many footnotes. I want to say thank you for giving the opportunity for Consuelo Agra, Truth Pam, and other speakers to speak. And Monica, thank you for wishing Consuelo a happy birthday yesterday. I didn't even know it was her birthday, so I got to get in touch with her. So I appreciate that. All right, bye. How good can it get?
Invite forward the next two speakers, Alicia Morrison and Leslie Audra. And then if we don't have George.
Alicia Morrison, good afternoon. Barack Obama has said democracy isn't something we inherit, it's something we must build and rebuild every day. I will admit I was disappointed yesterday and was let down. I go through the process, I read and study the agenda, I write a comment, I sign up, I drive down here, I check in when I arrive. I'm not disruptive, I speak derogatory in my comments. I do all that is asked of me so that I may be part of this democratic process. And 2 items I registered for yesterday to speak on were moved today. In order to be here today, I had to cancel a very important appointment that I had at 10:30 this morning. Political apathy is the biggest obstacle human beings face in modern society today. When you can find a moment in your solitude of your busy schedules, please ponder why that is. Why people aren't caring. Why are they disengaged? And why some people are not even turning out to vote. Please have the respect for the constituents before moving agenda items that are important to those of us who still vote. Thank you.
It's interesting to see the environment you guys create around us, and that you can't even, as leaders, almost thought this was gonna turn around like 4 years ago. Anyway, that you guys can't even come together and make decisions that are gonna be the best for the people. And then seeing what happened on Monday is a reflection of that. How are kids supposed to, get along in the community when leaders are doing the exact opposite and, fighting amongst each other? And it's sad because these boys went on a rampage. They live streamed this event. They planned it out. They had a manifesto. There's like a 75-page document. And it's not like they picked left or right. They just kind of hated whatever. And it's like, you guys literally create that environment. And those boys set out to kill themselves. There's video of it. Them taking their lives. Sitting there, one of them putting the gun to the other one's head. Trying to get the guts to pull the trigger. And then one shot the other one. It's interesting because they said they killed themselves, but I think one of them was too chicken to do it, and so the other one did. And it's like, how great does this look for San Diego PD to say they used the AOPR and they did a fast response? It's disturbing to see that you guys can't even get along and you wonder why society is like it is. And we should be looking at you guys, not each other. We should be coming together as a human race, not finding reasons to hate each other and go against each other. But good job, you guys.
All right, recalling Dorothea Flanagan. Not seeing Dorothea. Call for Roxanne. Not seeing any movement in the chamber. We will now go to our callers. Again, in accordance with the board's rules, we'll only be hearing from the first five callers, community callers, because at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Hi, my name is John Fodor with CleanEarthForKids.org. I'm calling up the county leasing land to West Coast tomato growers. After years of our advocacy, the county did not renew their land lease at the end of 2025. Yet here we are with the county ready to hand the lease back to West Coast Tomato, despite their labor violations and dumping massive amounts of toxic pesticides banned in other countries on the surrounding neighborhoods, schools, and into the already impaired San Luis Rey River. Since 2016, over 70% of the pesticides used by West Coast Tomato have active ingredients banned in other countries. These toxic pesticides increase the risk of things like pediatric cancer, breast cancer, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, epilepsy, ALS, Parkinson's, and birth defects. The list of harms goes on and on. Legal does not mean safe. The San Luis Rey River supports critical habitats for multiple species of concern. Leasing this land to West Coast tomato growers will violate the county's MSDP program as water testing shows toxic pesticides are in the river. We also have a 138-page letter with over 400 references detailing the harm West Coast Tomato is doing. California labor leader Lena Gonzalez asked the county not to lease to West Coast tomato growers because of their treatment of workers. So why is the county doing it? Who at the county is so determined to give them back their lease? Is somebody at the county profiting from this? Who at the county is so locked into using tons of toxic pesticides? I don't understand why my wife being poisoned by their pesticides and 10 years of advocacy is being blown off. We are asking you to protect wildlife and children's health. We ask you to follow your own MSDP and protect the San Luis Rey River. That land is too close to neighborhoods. It should be a park, not farmland. Please take action and stop the land lease to the West Coast tomato growers. Our children's health and future depend on the action you take today. Thank you from CleanUpForKids.org.
Thank you. Go to our next caller. Next caller is Suzanne. You're connected. You may be muted.
I'm
There we go.
so sorry, let me try again. Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Suzanne Hume. I'm the Educational Director and founder of Clean Earth for Kids. I was poisoned by West Coast tomato growers, also known as Oceanside Coal. These toxic pesticides on San Diego County land 100 feet from homes. These pesticides banned in other countries. Pesticides that cause cancer, asthma, lung, heart, and brain diseases, liver and kidney diseases, autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, endocrine diseases, reproductive harm, birth defects, and pesticides that cause learning disabilities in children, and I could go on. West Coast tomato growers use these toxic pesticides 100 feet where moms, babies, children, teachers like me, seniors, and others live, right next to the bike trail, and where kids learn to ride their bikes next to Guajomí Regional Park with birds, wildlife, and threatened and endangered species near the San Luis River. The land is on a floodplain, so toxic pesticides and PFAS, forever chemicals, get into the water, and it feels like a firing squad when West Coast tomato growers use these pesticides through the air. Why should we lose our lives and our homes? We've asked the county for 10 years to please stop misusing county land. It's taxpayer land, and it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. So Jim Desmond and the Board of Supervisors, this is mismanagement of county land and allowing the company to poison children, families, seniors, teachers, workers, land, water, and wildlife for profit is unacceptable. Organic growers are afraid of West Coast tomato growers. Jim Desmond, you're out there talking to farmers. That's what they said. If you don't know, then they're afraid to tell you that they're afraid of West Coast tomato growers. Do not let West Coast tomato growers lease the county land. Fix it. Stop hurting people, please, please. We did not sue. We followed all the right steps. We did all the advocacy. We did everything. I cannot go back to our kids and people that have worked on this for decades and tell them that this is what you did. This is very constant.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hi, good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. I'm here today asking you to oppose further marijuana retail expansion in San Diego County and ask for your opposition to AB 2697, which is in the state Senate right now, regarding proposals that would allow drive-through marijuana businesses. At a time when even Congress is acknowledging the unresolved dangers of marijuana impaired driving, expanding easier and faster access through drive-through sales sends the wrong message to our communities and to our youth. Federal leaders from both parties clearly recognize that marijuana impairment on our roads is a serious public safety concern. Federal transportation officials have stated that marijuana use is not compatible with safety-sensitive functions. So pilots, truck drivers, and many transportation workers are prohibited from using marijuana because impairment risks are real. Yet here in California, we continue moving forward with greater commercialization and normalization before the science and safety standards are settled. Drive-through marijuana businesses are especially troubling because they mirror the convenience model of drive-through alcohol concepts that many communities have long rejected. They increase visibility, normalize daily use, and create additional risks around impaired driving. I urge this board to take a leadership role in protecting public safety, youth well-being, and neighborhood quality of life by opposing drive-through marijuana businesses and resisting further marijuana retail expansion in our county. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Transparency on the board and protected children is a strong indicator of the overall morality, values, and level of civilization. So thank you for making it possible for a parent and community volunteer like me to speak virtually while we work in youth programs. Recently, the California Department of Public Health wrote that suicide is the second leading cause of death among adolescents and young adults ages 15 to 24. Teen and young adults' mental health is a complex situation. However, the risk of today's high-potency THC marijuana products must never be overlooked. Hopefully, our Board of Supervisors can be counted among those trusted adults who are concerned about the harmful effects of its sales and consumption, and not enlarge the footprint of marijuana storefronts and cultivation in our beloved Sac County neighborhood.
Caller.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a
constituents of Supervisor Monica Stepp. You've heard me speak several, for the last couple of years regarding the Deborah Berkeley Ranch and the horses that are being abused there, and I still think about the animal abuse in Julian at Villa Carbonet. Deputy Andy Strong, Deputy District Attorney Eric Bonner, and the Supervisor Joe Anderson were all made aware of the suffering taking place on this property on Villa Chardonnay for years. For years. Yet they failed to take meaningful action to protect the animals. Isn't this your job? Aren't we paying for this? Their inaction allowed conditions to deteriorate to the point that animals allegedly began self-mutilating each other and suffering. That rather than officials, which are the animal rights organization forced to step in and intervention on this property, which should have been done by Andrew Strong, District Attorney Eric Bonner, Supervisor Joe Anderson. Why am I paying tax? Why am I paying your income when you can't do your job? Particularly troubling is the role of Deputy District Attorney Eric Bonner, who was allegedly aware of its ongoing neglect for years, and yet failed to act to prevent continued suffering. Despite this, District Attorney Summer Steffen has continued allowing him to remain in position responsible for matters involving animal cruelty and neglect, considering he allegedly ignored the suffering of hundreds of animals. I want this on record. What? With that being said, and all.
Thank you. Your time is up. And again, for the remaining callers that requested to speak on matters listed on the, not listed on the agenda, please hang up and call back at the conclusion of today's session. Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication.
Okay, thank you. We'll now proceed with the formation of the consent agenda. I will provide all items of the consent agenda are routine and will be acted upon with one motion. Individuals will be able to comment on the consent agenda after the supervisor full item that would like to pull for discussion with any of my colleagues for the items or have comments on any of the items of the consent agenda. Okay, Supervisor Anderson? Thank you, Supervisor Desmond?
No comments, no Nicole, and I will make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, I will go ahead and second that, and we'll turn to public comment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp. We do have 4 requests to speak on items on the consent agenda, 3 per person, 5 requests to speak by phone. And for those individuals that request to speak by phone for items on the consent agenda, please dial the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. Go ahead and begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward, stand on the arrows until it's your turn to speak at the podium. You'll then have 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the record. Also, when speaking, please identify which items on the consent agenda you are speaking about. I'd like to invite forward the 3 individual speakers, Sean Van Kirk, allegedly Audra, and Michael Brando. I see you sitting here but don't want to speak on any of the items. Okay, gotcha. So Sean and allegedly Audra.
So is that what happened on Monday? Let's watch this video. Yeah, it's interesting. I just wish you guys could really, do what you say you're gonna do and, make the lives around us better, not, make people work really hard just to take their money and throw it away and then just ask for more. It's crazy. And, with the traffic advisory committee sitting here lowering our speed limits, and then you can get revenue from, writing tickets and stuff like that. It's so great the way you guys find ways to make money off of the people. And this local emergency, gosh, it's so routine. We've been doing it for decades. It's good to see that it's being handled, right? Collecting data, people's suffering, so good. No wonder why people go and shoot things up. Right? They're just waiting for people to in charge to do the right thing, and then it's like, all they want to do is pit us against each other. It's so weird when there's like racial things that happen. It's nothing to do with you guys at all. And then water quality monitoring. I'm sorry, it's just really funny to have to come in and talk about these things. And like, I mean, you guys test wastewater for COVID and stuff like that, for future outbreaks by testing the past. I mean, to think that you're going to improve water quality when we have fluoride in our water, and then we spray in the skies, and then we're putting like aborted babies in there, how cool is that? It's like being a cannibal, right? And then like all the drugs people put in the water. And just the fact that we're gonna get our own sewage back. So awesome. Money worth spent. Well, yeah.
Okay, not seeing Sean in the chamber, we'll go ahead and go to our phone callers. Oh, there you are. Hi, Sean.
Hello, I'm Sean here today with healthcare. I'm in favor of item number 5. A new healthcare facility, upgraded healthcare facility to the second unit. And I'm just going to say we're in favor of that.
Thank you. All right, now we will hear from those requested to speak by phone. Again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You'll be recording that so you can your comments, but we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Although the county proclamation on April 21st, an award was given to the Tijuana River Coalition for Advocacy on the TJ River Valley. The YMCA spokeswoman said, quote, "It's an incredible journey and we're just getting started," unquote, telling her group to raise their hand, quote, "again and again and again," unquote. It's nice to have advocates, but this is what it's like, a tiny gesture again and again and again. You don't really fix the actual problem, now several problems, and spreading on north. In the 40-odd years since the program began, we in the county could have fixed the problem instead of repeated appeals to multiple bureaucracies for help. They may help on their turf friendly, or there'll be maybe unacceptable conditions like having to move for a few years or getting your house taken. The whole business of getting this renewed is done. 2, recommendation 2A to reduce the speed limit on Lawson Valley Road is wrong. It's a long road and 35 miles per hour is too slow for those who need to get to work or somewhere fast. The SD Fire Authority rep explained that they drive on similar roadways and 40 mile per hour limit may be more applicable. Until then, there is a Montessori school at Ramona Street and Raleigh Avenue. The board letter is wrong, as I told you before.
Thank you. Your time is up. And not seeing any other callers in the queue, Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp, that concludes public comment on the items on the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any of the supervisors wanting to say anything further, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Please vote.
And you can vote via vote cast now as and that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
Okay, thank you. Let's go on to item number 6. This is second hearing for June 10, 2026. Consolidated cost recovery proposals to adopt ordinances related to fees, deposits, and hourly rates for land development, environmental health and quality, and agricultural weights and measures effective fiscal year 26-27 and CEQA exemption. Let's go to public comments.
Thank you, Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp. We have 7 total requests to speak. 2 individuals in person are requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we did receive 3 comments on this item. 1 was in favor and 2 were in opposition. For any individuals again that request to speak on this item by phone, please dial the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. Show one in-person speaker as Michael Brandor. Last as identified for allegedly Audra. You have 2 minutes to address the board.
I wonder when we can get full cost recovery. All the money you guys take from us. You're always sitting here saying, like, we're going to save you money. Do we get that back? No, we don't. Just goes into other people's pockets. And it's like environmental health. Just like people health, right? Like, it's so sad to see, like, is there a number, I don't know, is it like $5 trillion? Would that be enough for you guys? Like, I'd like to cut your budget as low as possible and literally see what you guys can do with it. But that would mean you take a pay cut, and I'm sure that you would want that because, you know, you wouldn't be up here if you weren't getting paid. I mean, if you didn't have billions of dollars at your disposal, you know what I mean? Like, what better of a racket? You're like, I love money, love exploiting people. Become part of the government and work for them, right? You guys, it's good. And you guys are always getting raises. It's not ever on the merit of like what you guys are doing. Because if it was, you guys would be bankrupt. I mean, you know, you're just making everybody else bankrupt. You know, and wondering why a terrorist attack happens. You know, it's not like you guys have anything to do with that. I wonder how many more are going to happen in the United States coming up. You know, like how cool is it that San Diego is like the stomping ground for that? Like, badge of honor, right? All of the nefarious things. It's like another notch on the belt that you can add, right? With all the other crap that San Diego does. I mean, this is a huge stomping ground for satanic rituals, so it's good. That's why people need to turn away and turn to the light and quit engaging in darkness. But as long as you guys are here, you can't get away from it. That's why it smells like sulfur up here.
Thank you. And now we will go to our phone callers. And again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. We're here recording that will tell you your comments, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Wow, all fees under a 5% increase got to a 6.7, but they're only a $1 increase. With most of the increases, 3% or under, and only 2 of them are over $10. I strongly approve and give a promotion to the guy who doesn't want to milk the county ratepayers like the fire protection districts or a new historic voters. Are ridiculous, and you know, I mean, all the stuff you do, but in particular, the fee increases that really hurt poor people or home builders or whoever. I mean, they pretty much contribute to corporate welfare and political handouts eventually, and it's you know, a ridiculous cycle. So anyway, you know, you really need to control those fees. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. I called in on this item regarding weights and measures and fees associated with them, and I've spoken to it before. One of the items being considered for increased fees is the industrial hemp cultivation program here in the county. I thoroughly support the idea of increasing the fees associated with industrial hemp cultivation. The sheer cost of personnel to go out there and check the cultivation sites must be huge, if indeed you go out and look into the complaints that I hear are going on at my county planning group. We've had people talk to us about how much the quality of life has been disturbed by smell. And so I'm hopeful that the fees will cover some of the costs being charged to the county to do the supervision that's necessary for these grows. So thank you for increasing their fees.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Montgomery Steph, not seeing any other followers in the queue, that concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing none of my colleagues wanting to speak other than Supervisor Desmond.
Other than?
Well, you, sorry.
Okay, no, I appreciate it. I'm okay for setting this hearing, I guess, for the second hearing on June 10th, but I'm not going to be supporting the item primarily because of the permit fee increases here for land use development for residential housing, so I'm not going to be supporting it. You're doing the best job, you got to have cost recovery, but we also got to stop raising the fees on housing. Thanks.
Thank you. I will go ahead and move this item and ask for a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Let's go ahead and take the vote.
No. I got to vote. I got to call my names again.
Oh, my apologies.
Sorry.
All right, that motion passes with the Supervisor Desmond voting no. All the supervisors who are present voting aye.
Great. So let's go to what will be our last discussion item. Sullivan Palomar Airport approved lease with American Airlines to the related seaport harmony. So this time, I know that our staff will be integrated places. We have a presentation, and as soon as you get Sullivan, you can feel free to begin.
Vice Chair Montgomery Step, members of the board, good afternoon. My name is Jamie Abbott, and I'm the Director of Airports for the county. We're here to present and seek your approval for a lease agreement with American Airlines. County Airports is responsible for the development, operations, and maintenance of 7 county airports, including the maintenance of runways, taxiways, ramps, access roads, and other facilities that support general and commercial aviation. Complying with federal regulations that make us eligible for FAA funds, we build and maintain a robust county airport system and provide critical services for our community, including the businesses, emergency responders, and the flying public without a cost to the county's general fund. Palomar Airport has been in operation in Carlsbad since 1959. Aside from San Diego International Airport, Palomar is the only other facility in the county providing access to commercial airline services for our region. Palomar has a long history of commercial airline services, which were provided by American Express more than 20 years for more than. The county is obligated by federal law and FAA regulations to review and negotiate in good faith without discrimination with service providers wishing to lease space and provide commercial airline service. If the county were to be found operating outside of these regulations and grant assurances, the county can no longer qualify for FAA grants and funds that allow the airports to operate without utilizing the county's general purpose revenue or other local funds. Palomar Airport supports economic activity and prosperity in North County and the region. This airport directly supports 2,600 jobs in the region, drives about $83 million in industry activity, and taxes annually. And we expect these positive impacts to grow related to this lease agreement. County airports, including Palomar Airport, are heavily funded by FAA grants, with over 90%. Over the $123 billion directly supporting Palomar Airport from the FAA that directly supports building and maintaining airport infrastructure. While federal dollars support the airport capital infrastructure, operations at all county airports, including Palomar, are covered directly from the Airport Enterprise Fund through the leases, fees, charges, grants, and other contributions, allowing DPW to operate all airports safely, efficiently, and cost-effectively. The continuation of commercial services at this airport will bolster the economic impact for the region and help ensure critical ongoing financial commitment from the FAA. With the board's approval of the lease, American Airlines will continue to fly from Palomar Airport for 5 more years, with 3 years guaranteed and the option for 2 one-year extensions, which would be approved by the Director of Airports through delegated authority. American proposes utilizing the Embraer 175 aircraft, a commonly used airplane with 76 seats and stage 5 engines, which is the highest standard and quietest engine available to commercial carriers, exceeding FAA noise mitigation requirements. American is proposing 4 arrivals and 4 departures per day, with the option to add up to 10 seasonal flights during key market times, such as a holiday. This new schedule would replace the existing service for a total of 8 flights per day. 6 of those 8 flights will occur during the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. 2 flights, 1 departure and 1 arrival, will occur during our voluntary noise abatement hours, or VNAP. The VNAP is a voluntary program and cannot be enforced through penalties, citations, or other similar means by the county. Staff and American Airlines are proposing that the board approve a new 5-year lease term beginning on May 21st, 2026. The terms of the lease are typical to other leases the county holds with other airlines that operate out of the airport. American Airlines will continue to use the existing facilities, including the passenger terminal, parking lot, aircraft ramp space, ticket counters, kiosks, and office space. We anticipate receiving over $1 million in revenue from each year of the lease. This item was presented to the Palomar Airport Advisory Committee in March. The committee voted 3 in favor, 3 against, with 2 absent, and 1 vacant seat. Approval of the leases within the county's existing authority and complies with all conditions governing the use of the airport. The county tracks leases closely due to the constrained growth at Palomar Airport. Any additional flights from this provider or another could potentially trigger litigation in which the county would proactively address in coordination with the city of Carlsbad. Any changes to the schedule would require review and approval by the county. Compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, is required for all actions taken to the Board of Supervisors. In 2021, the board approved Palomar Airport's master plan and certified its Program Environmental Impact Report, or EIR. Not only did the EIR study the master plan's potential improvements over the next 20 years, but it also anticipated and studied the potential increase in commercial airline activity. The EIR concluded that impacts would be considered less than significant. Today's action includes consideration of a lease for American Airlines to operate at Palomar Airport. As allowed under CEQA, the new activity proposed by American Airlines was compared against the certified EIR. Staff concluded that American Airlines' proposed activity is within the levels anticipated by the EIR, and a new EIR is not required. To demonstrate this, the environmental review update checklist was prepared and attached to today's board letter documenting our findings. In summary, staff concluded that American Airlines lease agreement will not result in new significant impacts or warrant the need for mitigation under CEQA. So today we are asking the board to consider that the board finds the 2021 McClellan Palomar Airport Master Plan Program Environmental Impact Report complies with CEQA and no substantial changes require additional environmental review for the American Airlines lease agreement, and approve the county issuing a 3-year lease with 2 one-year options with American Airlines in compliance with the FAA regulations, and authorize the Director of Airports to execute the lease. So this concludes staff's presentation, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, appreciate that, for the presentation. Let's go to public comment, and let's allow the participants time, and then we'll come back to the board with questions and deliberation.
Thank you, Vice Chair McDermott. We do have 9 total requests to speak, 4 individuals in person, 5 requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note that the record, we received 214 key comments on this item, 54 were in favor, 157 were in opposition, and 3 were neutral. For any individual that's requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. But speaking with the in-person speakers, as your name is called, please come forward, stand on arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You'll then have 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward Jason Haber, Australia Flores, and Robert Kerman.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, members of the board. My name is Jason Haber. I'm here representing the city of Carlsbad. The city has shared its concerns regarding this item in a letter from Mayor Blackburn. I want to highlight a few key points from that letter today. Recent actions by the county introducing larger aircraft and operations by multiple commercial carriers represent a clear shift beyond what is authorized under Palomar Airport's conditional use permit from the city of Carlsbad. This lease would allow American Airlines to more than double its daily flights in and out of Palomar, further expanding operations without the necessary CEP amendment. The city is particularly concerned about deficient emergency response capabilities at the airport, with current staffing, equipment, and training levels appearing to be insufficient to respond to a serious incident, especially in light of increased operations. Notably, the county's own Palomar Airport Advisory Committee, which is tasked with reviewing and making recommendations on airport operations, does not recommend approval of this lease. LAFCO even noted in a recently released draft municipal service review that Palomar Airport generates measurable impacts on local traffic, noise, water, and public safety services, and recommends evaluating opportunities to better align airport decision-making with local resource and community needs. The city urges you to delay approval of this lease until the county has obtained an amendment to the airport CEP, and we look forward to working with you collaboratively to ensure that airport operations reflect both regional priorities and the needs of the Carlsbad community. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Halston Raymer and members of the board. My name is Estrella Flores, and I serve as Assistant General Manager of Carlsbad Jetsner at McClellan Palomar Airport. I'm here today in support of the proposed lease with American Airlines. At the Jet Center, we interact with residents, visitors, pilots, and airport users every day. One thing we consistently hear from our many North County residents is how grateful they are to have convenient airline service close to home. For families, business travelers, and older residents especially, having access to commercial flights in their own community matters. We also believe that a healthy airport ecosystem benefits everyone. When Palomar Airport succeeds, it helps the broader airport community, including businesses like Carlsbad Jet Center. Carlsbad Jet Center is owned by the Southern California Laborers Pension Trust Fund, which supports the retirement security of thousands of union workers. The long-term success of the airport helps support continued investment in this important community asset. We appreciate the county's continued collaborative approach and respectfully encourage your support for this item. Thank you.
Vote no. No more puddle jumpers for the city of Carlsbad. Is Palomar Airport trying to make the list for top 10 worst airports for wasting prime urban acreage like the one runway Lindbergh? Lindbergh is rated number 2 in the nation for wasting prime property. Thank you, Supervisor Desmond. Your aviation committee recommended and approved the stupid aviation strategic plan for all of San Diego airports. Good government is good transparency. It is not prevalent at San Diego County Regional Airport Authority. Is it smart land planning for San Diego's airport system? No. Is it smart politics for your aviation campaign donors and pilots? Yes. Wheels up. Or is it American Airlines trying to find a place for the aircraft that they pulled from Dallas to TJ because they have nowhere else to pull it or put them because they pulled that route? Is everybody being honest here? This is a total waste of land, waste of resources, and for emergency responders, they can't even get to the other side of Carlsbad because they have to go around Carlsbad every time there's an emergency call. It's in the middle of the city. It should be out in the boonies like it was when it was built in 1980 in the tomato fields. That's the planning that is smart. Thank you very much.
Right, for the final speaker, let's go.
The devil's always in the details. It's not really what people think. All you have to listen to is you guys talk about your funding. You guys are money whores, and you love to get your money, and you'll do whatever it takes to get whatever funding is available. I mean, shoot, if they said chop off Audra's head, we'll give you $1 million, you guys would jump on that opportunity. Lickety split. And it's just interesting because it's like you got to comply with the regulations so that you can get a financial commitment from the FAA, right? And you're eligible for funds. Doesn't really matter what the community wants or the impacts to the residents. I mean, it's crazy because you guys always circumvent the will of the people. So like, you know, most people have opposed this, but you don't represent the people. You represent your own special interests. So you're going to pass it. And there's going to be impacts to these communities, significant ones, that are going to come out as time goes on. And then, but it's cool because you'll be able to mitigate those and probably get some funding to do it. You know what I mean? Problem, reaction, solution. So great. So great. I mean, how smart is that? Like, create a problem so you have to provide a solution. So smart. Money worth while well spent, right? Right. And it's like the noise impacts. I mean, it's like Tent City has to sit there and listen to the planes all the time. So imagine the people in these communities who are going to just be trying to enjoy their time outside and be like, "Why? I can't hear you! The plane is flying right over us!" It's cool. And as long as that fuel just drops upon them and their children, I mean, who really cares? Because you guys are getting money for it. So intelligent. So smart.
Thank you. And then we have one more in-person speaker. Your name's Ed.
Yes. Good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Eddie Angeles. I represent American Airlines. I'm Director of State and Local Government Affairs for this area. First of all, I would like to thank the Board of Supervisors and as well as the staff for being such a great partner with American Airlines. First of all, when we started this commercial service a couple of years ago, it was a bit of a test of the market to try to see what kind of demand that we would have for this type of service. And the jury is out, and it indicates that there is a viable demand for flights at Palomar by your constituents, by the flyers, by the mere fact that it was so successful that we invited competition with respect to having someone else that our competitors join commercial flights at Palomar. And we welcome competition because it's great for the consumer and advantageous, obviously, for the people of San Diego. So we're here, honestly, to gain your support for this approval, primarily to put us at par with our competitors in this environment at Palomar, to make sure that we're in the same footing and have the same levels of competition that we have with our competitors. But let me just point out the economic advantages that this commercial service is already had for all of San Diego County. Not only do we have the demand that our planes, obviously, people are flying, but also think about the jobs, the economic impact that it's had. You've heard sort of the ripple effect that it's had, even from food and beverage concessions, from folks who are working at TSA at Palomar. And so when we're talking about budgets, as we've talked about all day, here's an opportunity for you to gain $1 million a year, and then the economic implications of that particular commercial service at Palomar. So I respectfully ask for your favorable vote. Thank you.
Thank you, and we will now hear from those that are requested to speak by phone. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted, and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we'll begin with our first caller.
All about there's not enough terminal area to make passengers comfortable. Unlikely you can expand either. Too many nearby houses, and each new airline.
Yes, Paul, we can hear you. Not anymore, actually. Paul, if you want to try to call back, we'll call on you again. We'll go to our next caller. Oh, and it was our system. I just been running too long today. Just reconnecting. Give me 1 second. Yeah, we'll start as time. Don't worry.
Hey Ryan, I don't know what's going on with the phone. I don't know what's going on with the phone systems, but Paul was cut off.
Yeah.
So hopefully gets to call back and his time is honored.
Yes. You go ahead.
I'm just, to be honest, I'm just listening in and paying attention, but I'm not going to speak on this item.
Okay.
But thank you. Yeah, if you can go back to Paul, that'd be awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Will do.
All about, as I was saying, not enough terminal area to make the passengers comfortable. It's unlikely you can expand either. Too many nearby houses, and each new airline creates more risk of a serious incident. Airport runways and taxiways are too small, and this would also deplete local resources like water, increasing noise on local residents. Airport is in the middle of the city, should be in the boonies, Robert said, and the unions involved. No wonder requests like these keep coming back. Do not give in to legal or FAA threats like the ones mentioned here today. Apparently they think they can just take over an airport anytime. So the airport board approved this 3-3. Sounds like a disapproval. Your duty is to the county, not to a predatory organization or laws with a wobbly interpretation which are used against the people you serve. And frequent changes to the agenda order, the day of the meeting, and combining agenda items the day of the meeting is confusing, disrespectful, and a violation of the Brand Act and the California Constitution. I strongly suggest you read them and obey them. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to our next caller.
concur with that final statement. The November 20th meeting of the Palomar Airport Advisory Committee had Sheriff Chris Kaiser belittling citizens participating, and he deprived their right to comment. Member Clayton Lashley refused to leave the dais when he had a conflict of interest being an industry member. I believe it was County Deputy Director of Public Works, Morales Pasamarti, suggested ethics don't matter. It's okay if recommendations don't even come to the Board of Supervisors. County staff even lied about the fact. Yet now it seems American Airlines wants to have many flights they want with no respect or concern for the neighborhood they negatively affect. Calling a neighborhood a regional hub connection or an American hub does not negate the neighborhood's existence. Is it possible to implement a pollution mitigation fee or even a VMT fee on those airports to mitigate the various kinds of damage they inflict upon surrounding communities? I don't believe the taxing businesses out of business, but I do expect consistency in what the county pretends to care about. I'd like to see the county sue the FAA the way it sued drug companies and Trump, because their lack of transparency, accountability, and oversight under the major operations under their jurisdiction is unacceptable. Because it's not just Carlsbad and surrounding areas that have been negatively affected by increasing amounts of noise, sky, and environmental pollution from airplanes. It's everywhere. It's every neighborhood. I bet the CEO of American Airlines, Robert Eason, doesn't have FedEx and Alaska jets flying over his house at 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. He must be doing pretty well because American Airlines has their own political action committee. Did any supervisor here receive a campaign donation or endorsement from them? Or are you expecting one in the future? There's a lot of money here, because I know, the union money, right? $1 million. You mentioned the union jobs, the American guy. Well, that $1 million doesn't even begin to cover the $14.4 million union kickback this board recently doled out. So what you got to say to that? It doesn't equate, it doesn't map out, it doesn't pencil out. $1 million in fees is not worth selling out our community. Enough said.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp, that concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you so much. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to you, we appreciate you bringing this item forward. And I know we've gone over this stuff previously, but the gentleman from Carlsbad mentioned that we're bringing in larger aircraft. Is this airplane any bigger than what's already allowed at Palomar Airport that American proposes to operate?
Supervisor, no, they're going to use the same aircraft that they're currently using, and also United Airlines uses the Embraer 175, so it's the same aircraft that they've been using for the last year or so.
Okay, maybe I didn't catch you right, but I think you said this has the stage 5, the quietest, and I think you said it exceeds the requirements of stage 5. Do you mean it's under the requirements? It's quieter than what is than they have to be, or something, whatever that is. When you said exceeds, it kind of set off an alarm in my head.
Yes, sir. Let me clarify that. So, FAA phased out stage 2 in aircraft engines years ago, and the lower the number, the louder the engine. And so, phase 2 was due to be phased out. We're now at stage 3, 4, and even 5, and the higher the number, the quieter the engine.
So it's below the threshold.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it doesn't exceed the threshold. And then this Carlsbad CUP amendment keeps coming up. So I can't remember the status of that and what the gentleman was talking about. Could you clarify what that CUP is still in effect, or what the thing that they're bringing up that we're not compliant?
Supervisor, I can give you kind of the business perspective from the airport side, and then maybe the council wants to jump in on the other. Yeah, and I know that discussion is being had with the city of Carlsbad, and so we respect their position on it. We feel very comfortable in our position bringing forward this lease and the previous lease regarding airlines at Palomar Airport. We think it fits well within the CUP and our ability to do that. There's language within that document that mentions airline service, and I'll just kind of say, we have a past history of airline service at Palomar Airport under the same. So we feel pretty comfortable that this is allowable at the airport. Do you want to share anything else?
I agree with what you said. From a legal perspective, we would look at the terms of the use permit itself to define whether or not some sort of change is needed. The specific provision in the use permit that's at issue says that the existing designation of the airport as a general aviation basic transport airport shall not change unless an amendment to the CUP is approved by the Planning Commission. That term, general aviation basic transport, is an old design classification term. Shortly after this permit was issued, it was replaced with what we call the ARC, Airport Reference Code System. So that's the elephant in the air codes you often hear staff talk about. We have B2 airport, C3 plane, things like that. The airport is currently designated as a B2 airport. Whether this lease is approved or not, it will remain a B2 airport. The other point I'd like to emphasize is something that the airport's director was pointing out, and that's that the use permit itself allows certain facilities and uses by right. That's in Table 1 of the CUP. Included in Table 1 is the authority to have airlines scheduled and unscheduled by right, as well as the ability to have airline-supported facilities such as an air terminal, air hotel, and other things by right.
And the airport advisory committee, there were it was 3-3, is that what I heard? Were the 3 no votes? Was there anything there that we have our authority to, what were their concerns, and then do we have any authority to address those concerns?
Supervisor, yes, there were 3 no votes, and the concerns were generally that similar concerns that we heard from the past, which are noise concerns and so forth. And I just want to reassure the board that we are taking steps to constantly improve our noise program to respond to residents' noise concerns and so forth. And so I think that was really the basis for concerns with this new lease agreement.
Okay, well, the only thing I'm kind of concerned about is the fact that you've got another flight outside of the voluntary noise abatement program. It's 10:28 at night. Airplanes are powered back. They're usually not coming in full bore, so it's quieter landing at night. And then if we were to deny this lease, whether for noise or any other reason, because we do have the available space, it's almost certain we're going to get a lawsuit and lose if we deny it.
We would be concerned that the denial of this lease could be viewed by the FAA as a violation of grant assurances. We have an obligation to make space available on reasonable terms and without unjust discrimination to all kinds and classes that are enough for users. That includes airline service.
And really, our agreement is just with a lease of the facilities. It's not the flights. That's FAA, and that's not us. We're just the facilities in the ground. Jared, I'd like to make a motion to approve the lease with American Airlines as detailed in staff's recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to second it, but I have a quick question of staff. So much of this is driven by FAA. Do we have to have all of it come back to us when we have no control over it other than to look for a lawsuit and lose? Is there something that we can do to ease the burden on staff having to constantly bring it back to us?
Thank you, Supervisor. Through the chair, I believe it's the lease itself that requires us to come back to the board, and that is a necessary mechanism to have in place. I'll defer to our council to support response to that question.
I can't answer that. State law requires that a lease like this be approved and be approved by 4 votes. So the reason we're here is because of that requirement in applicable law. There is authority for low-value leases. The board has already taken some steps to delegate authority. Unfortunately, this is a high enough value that it crosses that threshold. So that's why you continue to see us coming back. But yes, where we do have that delegated authority, it is exercised.
Note to self, I try to empower you.
Maybe we should put it in charter.
I just have a quick question about the last paragraph of the City of Carlsbad letter that talked about emergency services and the event that something happened, concern around safety, and I just wanted to get some more perspective on that because I think that's a valid and fair concern.
Vice Chair, I can take this one. I'll just give you a perspective from the airport operator's side. As an FAA certified Part 139 airport, which is a commercial service airport, we have to meet certain requirements that the FAA requires of us. We are inspected annually. That includes what we call the ARF station, which is the Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting station. So we have our own fire department, so to speak, that is dedicated to aircraft incidents. So if there's an incident first responder with the proper equipment, specialized equipment for aircraft incidents, and then that immediately also informs local fire departments to respond as well. So the city of Carlsbad and other cities actually do respond and help our team as well. And the reason I mentioned the Part 139 certificate is every 3 years we have to pass what's called a triennial exercise, which is a live exercise at the airport. FAA is there inspecting us live, and really the scenario is an aircraft incident simulated with actual passengers and so forth, and it is measuring the response of our fire station to those incidents, and they have to respond within 3 minutes and so forth. And we just had that triennial last fall, and we got high marks, and we passed the inspection. And so, bottom line is we're meeting FAA requirements on emergency response. But happy to continue conversations with the city and see how we can support that even better.
Thank you for explaining and for that additional commitment.
Sure.
Have anything else?
Yeah, Chair, I was going to also highlight this airport is having exceptional safety record overall.
All right, okay, I don't see any further. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Let's go ahead and vote.
And Vice Chair Montgomery Stout, that motion passed unanimously with all supervisors who are present and voting aye.
Okay, thank you very, very much.
Communication via phone, so we'll go ahead and give them a moment to call by phone. When again, it's your turn to speak, be unmuted, or you're recording, and we'll take you to begin your comments. Let's go ahead and begin with our first caller.
To ask why the County of San Diego continues to provide funding to District Attorney Summer Steffen's office after Deputy District Attorney Eric Bodner has allegedly continued to fail vulnerable animals who desperately needed protection. Deputy District Attorney Eric Bodner has reportedly known about the situation at Village Chardonnay for years. This is not a new issue. Allegations surrounding neglect and suffering on the ranch dated back to 2020, yet meaningful intervention allegedly did not occur while animals continue living in horrific conditions. Animals are confined inside an ammonia-filled hospice farm with an apparent lack of adequate clean shelter or meaningful palliative care. Many of the substandard pens without access to the outdoors. The harsh and unsanitary conditions allegedly led some animals to attack one another and in certain mutilations. My question is simple. Why would Deputy District Attorney Eric Bodner, whose role should include protecting vulnerable animals, allegedly allow these conditions to continue for years without stronger action being taken? It is deeply concerning that rather than the public officials fulfilling their obligation to protect these animals, it was actually animal rights organizations were forced to step in and push for intervention themselves in a job that should have already been done by Deputy CAO Andrew Strong, Deputy District Attorney Eric Bodner, and Supervisor Joel Anderson. We deserve transparency and accountability. Tax dollars should not continue funding systems that fail animals who cannot speak for themselves. This is bigger than one ranch. This is about whether animal cruelty laws are truly being enforced in San Diego County, and whether those entrusted with protecting animals are being held accountable when they likely do not act. I urge this county to take these concerns very seriously and provide the public with answers as to how this situation was allowed to continue for so many years, and when the board will end funding for DA Summer Steffen based on performance.
Thank you. Your time's up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Becky Robson. I come today to speak against the proposed socially equitable cannabis program. I appreciate the county's continued efforts to strengthen behavioral health services and expand crisis response. Those have been important conversations of this board, but I'm concerned regarding conversations that continue to leave out a major mental health risk for youth and vulnerable populations, and that's high-potency marijuana and the related serious mental health impacts. This morning, we heard clearly from this board that youth must remain at the heart of every decision we make. If that is true, then we cannot ignore what we now know about the developing brain and the impact of high-potency THC products. Multiple studies fruit increased risks of anxiety, depression, impaired cognitive development, and in some cases, psychosis and other serious psychiatric conditions. Yet this board has yet to acknowledge or even discuss these connections that directly affect downstream behavioral health services. This board has also emphasized the medical cannabis program, particularly for communities harmed by past enforcement and incarceration. But equity must include all impacted populations. So I ask, what about the children and the next generation? Why is there not a stated moral obligation to protect them? Engagement with healthcare professionals and law enforcement about mental health concerns must be addressed. We cannot move forward on an ordinance while leaving out one of the fastest changing risk factors affecting young people today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, attention, torture chambers, partakers of truth, and it's way past 10 a.m. Does everyone know where their county ID badge is right now? So what about Sarah, the one who did not have an abortion like she pushes on others? Now, it's time to address the corrupt elephant, Manuel Lomaguire, the 47-year-old court doctor currently under investigation. Because after the May 1st Senate Executive Committee ended, when I was speaking to two Senate employees at 10:54 a.m., Manuela and her staffer, Kyle Lavelle, intentionally took the public exit rather than the board exit to look at me intimidatingly and then interrupted our conversation to harass and retaliate against me. She talked over an employee to sarcastically say to me, "Have a nice day," redacted name, publicly doxing me by using my private given name rather than my public meeting name and chosen identity for the last 4 years. That's right, she did not respect my expression or identity. Manuela Lomaguire violated California Civil Code Section 1708.89, which protects public speakers or critics from public officials who dox and or maliciously release their private information. Manuela Lomaguire's actions made her the county and Senate subject to AB 1979, which allows doxing victims to sue in civil court. Manuela Lomaguire's actions violated the county's standards of conduct of a work environment free from discrimination and harassment, retribution and retaliation, treating members of the public respectfully at all times. Manuela's actions violated perhaps even further policies and laws, as it is unknown how she acquired my private information. Is she personally snooping on me, or is Kyle Lavelle, or Matthew Lizard Gonzalez, or maybe Jose Dilo Bukowski? Either way, this was not the first malicious incident of intimidation and harassment from Manuela towards myself, including before the April 3rd Senate meeting and going all the way back to 2025. Anyone can watch the full surveillance video of Manuela Loma's May 1st document incident on my YouTube channel at TruthTONIS. Enjoy your self-created domino effect, Manuela, as the County Office of Ethics investigates you, because we're just getting started. Man and deadbeat texting in a tree.
Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. Ann Little here. I want to speak to a webinar that I heard earlier this week put on by the California Department of Public Health. They are continually concerned about smoking and vaping and its effect on our health. And they go on to say in this webinar that it involves issues of environment, economy, social economic status, and human rights. And they recognize how much our good health is affected by smoking and vaping, be it first-hand, second-hand, or third-hand. So I question why this county would want to have more businesses in our backcountry that primarily sell products that are vaped and smoked. And yes, I'm talking about marijuana pot shops. Seems an unfortunate dichotomy that we care about vaping and smoking, and yet we want to extend the footprint of marijuana storefronts in the county, and should recognize that those who are affected by secondhand and third-hand, first-hand smoke are more often of a social economic status that can ill afford to have their health so affected. So why? Why would we do this now? We wouldn't put more tobacco stores out there. We certainly wouldn't grow tobacco out there. So why would we do that for marijuana? Thank you for letting me express my concerns.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Yes, my name is Lori Michaels. I'm speaking on behalf of abused and neglected animals and on the plight of the animals rescued in Julian. It's well known that the issues there have been going on for quite a while. The lack of compassion and bureaucracy has resulted in the situation getting worse and worse without any action being taken until finally now. In addition, there are horses still badly neglected on Artesian Road. Whatever entity does the investigations, they are quite lax in reporting the actual neglect. And I do want to thank Supervisor Anderson for his generous financial contribution to SNAP, Spay Neuter Action Project. We can't rescue our way out of euthanasia and overcrowded shelters. I implore all of you to show more genuine concern and action for the plight of abused animals in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Yes, this is Bilka Weston, local housing advocate, homeless advocate, as well as at-risk youth advocate. You know, as an advocate, we usually go to the supervisor, the city council member, or the mayor to bring up issues. Boy, it's a bad day in hell for me today, because I have to call out a woman's office that I called 12 times. A woman who I saw at 2 events and said, I really need to talk to you. Oh, I'll be right there, Ilka. I don't even want to call you supervisor, Monica. Shame on you for your blundering lack of follow-through in proper housing plans on Troy Street. $11.1 million. And I offered Sam, on the multiple times I tried to communicate with you, the meeting with an affordable housing architect that would show that even with the buildings, it would only cost $6.25 per square foot. Shame on you for stealing from the taxpayers, Monica Montgomery Steps. You are not the people supervisor with this housing project. You're a thief. So please explain to me, where is the other $6 to $8 million going? Why are you doing a project where they're going to spend approximately, what, $75,000 on a house when actually it is all over the internet that these like ADUs can cost $8,000. And in fact, I was told by Nick, who is the affordable housing architect, it should be $6.25. Now let's go to who you want to service there. That would be people that keep doing drugs and alcohol. And let's go. Oh, people that keep going out their mental health medication. However, you cancel HSTAP for seniors and disabled. Do you realize that you would have been smart, intelligent, and
Your time is up, and Vice Chair Montgomery Stubbs, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this afternoon.
Okay, great way to end the meeting. Thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh, you know what, Amanda, I'm sorry I wasn't answering you. May we take a moment of silence for all those that over the last couple of days that have suffered through this most recent shooting? And by the way, I want to thank you for lowering our flags at the county.
That we did do it this way.
I heard them speak, and I heard that, but I didn't realize that pastors. I don't mean to be redundant. It's just such a serious issue.
It is.
And all I was thinking is we just take a moment of silence.
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Anderson. Thank you, everyone. This meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you. The next regular meeting of the board will take place on June 9th at 9 a.m. And on June 1st at 5 p.m., the board will hold a budget hearing for the recommended budget presentation and to hear community feedback.
Stay classy, San Diego.